It's me, it's B-R-E-N-T. I'm Brent, your content creator for the YouTube channel PathandTarot, as well as the blog of the same name. And in this video, we're going to be doing an unboxing of the Linestrider Tarot Mini. The deck is by Siolo Thompson, sorry if I mispronounced that. So a tarot mini deck, so how cool is that? This really kind of caught my attention in a way that tarot cards in full size or in various sizes can be handled differently. The way you use these cards can be different based on the size. So I was really attracted to this deck immediately, so here we are. We're going to unbox it. I love doing these unboxing videos because once the shrink wrap is off, you know, there's no going back. So I got to do this all in one take. And I loved surprises that sometimes end up in tarot decks, and the packaging and what comes with it. There's always something neat to look at, and so yeah, we're gonna get all into that. There'll be some helpful links in the description below for the resources and the deck used in this video here, as well as some links to my blog if you're interested in learning more about tarot and other divinity-like things. So check that out as well. So the first thing we can say is that this is from Lelowin. I'm not sure if I even pronounced that correctly, but I'm just Lelowin Publications. This deck is published by that company, so they do have a little bit of a copyright allowance for content creators where you can show up to 25 images. So in this video, we're going to go through just the major arcana, the 22 major arcana cards, and have a look at those and see a few other things. And maybe we'll do a quick little reading at the very end with just those major arcana cards and see what happens. But we'll kind of go through all of it. We'll see what we can learn about the deck and maybe some tarot history possibly, see what's inside of this, and yeah, just kind of capture my impression kind of in real time. That's kind of the point of this. There's a lot of cool things that you could see, and I want to be able to share my expressions with you on camera. So the Linestrider Tarot Mini, Siolo Thompson. So personally, I'm not familiar with this deck. I haven't used it before, but I see it often in social media, and it comes recommended from other tarot readers that I've taken inspiration from. So I finally got around to acquiring this deck, and I'm glad I got the mini version of it because I think it'll be a cool experience to see what the mini version is before I get a hold of maybe the full-size version, or if I get the full-size version at all. Maybe this may just do the trick. We'll have to see how this feels. So I've got a few things off camera here. I've got just a little knife which I'll use to open up the packaging here. Oh, yes, this is opened. All right. Okay, so the packaging is off. We'll just put it on the ground here. Here we are, free of any plastic wrap packaging. The imagery right away is awesome. It's fantastic. It's very detailed. I have to hold it up close to my face here to see it. I worry that the cards will be a little too small on camera, but you know what? We're gonna roll with it and see how we do, and then just leave it at that. Linestrider Tarot. So I like the drawings are quite. They have a unique style of coloring. It's almost like a watercolor style of some kind. Maybe not actually done in watercolor, but in some other method. I don't know artistic methods and whatnot, but it feels like it's got like a splashiness, a splashy wetness to it with the style of imagery. So I think that's really interesting. It's not something you see in other tarot decks that often. So let's get into it. Let's open up. Ooh, okay. Here we go. So I guess there's no guide guidebook to this package, so that's kind of interesting. This is sort of the first time I've gotten a tarot deck without a guidebook or any instructions. I have the mini version of Crowley's Thoth deck, and even that came with like a miniature little pamphlet, but I don't have, this is it. So this is kind of cool. Daring I must say, haha. Okay, so let's open this up. So it's double shrink wrapped, so I don't really know if that means anything. It's just something to take note of. I guess what that really means is that the cards are going to come out clean, like they'll feel clean. There won't be any debris on it or anything like that, or dust or what have you. So when you get when cards are shrink wrapped like this, like they were, and then the package is shrink wrapped, you can sort of expect the cards to feel very nice right away. And usable almost immediately. So here, I just got some plastic. There we go. Okay. Okay, so here's the cards. They are not very big at all. So if I take just one card, I won't show you the image yet. I'll hold you with a surprise here. So that's the size of the card. So it fits really into my palm. So here, let's do a size comparison. I have some things off camera. So here's a playing card, bicycle playing card. You know, most people are familiar with the size of this playing card. So look how big it is, or I guess small in comparison. So this card literally fits inside of the playing card quite well. So this is quite tiny. And if we compare it to a tarot size card, so these are my custom elemental cards, but this is the tarot size. This is the size of what Make Playing Cards declares tarot size. So look at the difference of size that we have with the Linestrider Tarot Mini. Quite tiny, which is very cool. So look at that. So how big is it really? Let's find out. I've got a little ruler right here so we can get the exact dimensions. Let's go to 0. So this is just about 4.5 centimeters at the width, and then the height is about 7.5 centimeters tall. So 4.5 wide, 7.5 tall. So that's quite tiny. So here we go. So what's this card? So this is the Linestrider Tarot Mini, copyright 2020. Here we go. So there you go. That's like, kind of like the insert. Interesting. So let's see what else. Let's just draw these cards right off the top and see what we get. Ooh, with the Linestrider Tarot. I guess this is an advertisement for the full size. So there you go. We got like advertisements in these cards. So that's kind of neat. Something that I've seen before in other texts. You know, you print up like, I don't know, 80 cards or so, and fill out an order of 80 instead of 78. So what's this? Oh, here we go. So we've got one of the tarot cards here. So I'll show you at least this one, and then I'm gonna go through the deck. Oh, sorry, I'm just a whole mess here. All right, so King of Pentacles. So there you go. That's what the King of Pentacles looks like. If you can see that on camera there. So it's like an owl with a crown, and it looks like it's holding like a bouquet of flowers. That's pretty cool. So I'm just gonna put these two advertisement cards. So I think I'm just gonna go through the deck real quick, because I think that's it. Like, there's not gonna be any other card inserts or anything like that with these cards, because usually when you get when you print a deck of cards, if it's tarot, it's 78, but you can fulfill an order of 80 cards. So usually those 2 extra cards can be almost anything really. So a publisher would logically put in something, of an advertisement. So there you go. There's nothing else here in in this deck. It's just the rest of the cards. And so that's the whole package. Basically just the shrink-wrapped, double shrink-wrapped cards with 2 extra inserts as advertisement, as the deck size. So let's just look at the back design. How neat is that? It's like it's almost like a Rorschach test or something, like an ink blot style. I like that. So it's very symmetrical. That's the first thing that you can look at. That's the first thing I look at when I look at the card backings, is I look to see if there's any symmetry. Does this look the same upside down as it is right side up? Sorry, it's a little awkward to do this with one hand. But if it's upside down and right side up, I mean, it looks the same. So to me, I can just really infer that you could read these cards right side up or right side down, so that it would have reversal meanings. I'm assuming there's no guidebook to declare that in writing, because a lot of the time guidebooks will actually have the written meaning, and then if there's a reversal meaning, it'll write that out too. So you could use the guidebook as a hint as to if you can, or if you should, or if it's a good idea to read these cards reversed. But really, if you're reading tarot cards, you can do whatever you want. There's no rules for that, but it's merely suggested, at least based on the style of the card, the imagery. Sometimes it just works better to read them upright and read them a certain way versus using the reverse cards to create complexity. So it's really just a matter of what fits what you're doing. That's kind of if you take that stance, you're going to always end up in the right place anyway. So here we go. So I can at least guess that. So let's, I'm going to go through the cards here and just extract the major arcana cards so we can go through them one at a time, and then we'll kind of play with things a little bit here. So the first thing I noticed is that these cards don't have any numbers. That's kind of cool. We don't commonly see that in tarot decks. They're usually numbered, especially the major arcana cards. The Fool is 0 and goes from 1 onwards as you kind of travel through the hero's journey. That's if the major arcana is set up in that way. The major arcana can have a different form as well. But here, I'm just going to flip through the other cards here and just count them to see. Just want to make sure that we have all the pip cards and that make up the minor arcana. So Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I guess what we can say is that the court cards are set up in Page, Knight, Queen, King. So that's kind of it is important to know how to at least read the court cards, because the court cards can be different for other tarot decks: Prince, Princess, Queen, King, Valet, Cavalier, if it's French, or other variations: Mother and Father, Daughter, Son and Daughter. If you're working with the Wild Unknown Tarot. So the court cards are usually subject to change at the artist's interpretation as well. So it's interesting that we've got Page, Knight, Queen, King, which kind of connects with the Rider-Waite tradition of tarot and borrowing that. So Ace, 2, 2, 4, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Page. Yep, so Page, Knight, Queen, King, Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there we go. So we got them all. Yeah, so far this is pretty cool. The imagery is very nice. I guess I can say right away that the I guess at least the tradition of these cards really follows with the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition, of the Pamela Coleman Smith style of how the cards were at least organized. The images are vastly different, but the fact that there's images on the minor arcana is definitely an attribute of the deck that sets it apart from other decks. So I'll show you just one of the minor arcana cards. Ha! Seven of Swords. So it's a full image. Like it's not symbols or anything like that that you'll see maybe on the Tarot de Marseille decks or even Crowley's Toth deck. It's like a full-on image. It's got a person in there. So oh, I dropped it. Whew. Almost lost it there. All right, I'm gonna move the camera back in. There we go. All right. Close call. Okay, there we go. So there's the minor arcana. Everything's in order there, which is great. Gonna put that off to the side. So let's go through the major arcana cards here and just see what it is we got. So the whole deck is not numbered in any way. They just have the names. I find that kind of interesting. So that's absolutely a different departure, if we're comparing it to the Rider-Waite-Smith. At least that's its closest connection. But there's no numbers, so that is cool. I don't know how that's going to play out or anything like that. I'd have to use the cards. So let's get into it here. So there's the Fool. Very interesting, very white. There's an absence of borders. It's almost like the whiteness kind of goes into the chest area and connects. That's kind of cool. And so the Magician, here we have here. So, you're going to see similar symbols in there. The infinity symbol over the head of the Magician, kind of holding up some sort of baton, or I guess maybe a test tube. A magician almost like a scientist. They're almost the same sort of archetypal figure. So it's like a monkey. Kind of cool. So there's like animal imagery as well as human imagery. And then we have here the High Priestess. So this will be the second order here. So it's kind of cool. It's almost like some sort of demon with horns. So I feel like this deck is going to go into a whole other fantasy realm of humanistic imagery, animals, other beings, demons. I don't know what to call it. Very fantasy-like in a way, which is very cool. So we've got the Empress here. So very, a very strong female figure. A little bit of a nude here. Looks like it's like a tiger of some kind, so it's really cool. There's a lot of power in that presence of that tiger. And there's something in the background. It's almost like an animal on her shoulder. I can't quite tell what it is. That's pretty interesting. So there you go. And then we've got the Emperor, a very archetypal image. Red robe, holding a sword of some kind. Maybe not a sword, more like a staff. It's hard to say, but wearing a crown, so very clear image of power, which is cool. Yeah, I like that. I appreciate tarot decks that kind of keep close to the original imagery of what these archetypes are, because the power is in the archetypal image. It's not really in the actual image. It's what the image sort of evokes. So if you're looking at a card of the Emperor and you can't really tell that it's the Emperor in any way, then you sort of lose a little bit of the effect. It has to be regained or recaptured in some way. So the fact that these cards are tapping into that archetypal imagery is great. It means that you can use them very well. They're intuitive, and that's important. So here's the Hierophant. So this is a different style of image here, but you can still grasp that the Hierophant has some level of wisdom over the other cards below it, which is kind of cool. So even though it doesn't look like what the Hierophant card would look like in other decks, you still get that sense from the type of symbols used, maybe even the color. Like purple is kind of an interesting color. We got Lovers. So here we go, Lovers. How nice. So this is interesting. The Lovers, hard to say. I think these maybe are swans or some sort of duck. It's hard to say. I can't really tell. I'm not a bird expert or anything like that. But in the Wild Unknown deck by Kim Kranz. The lovers are symbolized as two swans. And that's kind of cool. I feel like there's a connection with that in this deck, whether or not it's intended or not, or maybe just coincidental, because it kind of makes sense. Swans, they mate for life, so they're sort of archetypal lovers, I guess you could say. So here we go, the Chariot. This is kind of a neat card. So it's a figure with two horses. If you can see that there, get that in the shot. There you go. And then at the bottom it's got some colors. Oh, okay, hold on. So let's back up here. I think we're missing astrological symbols in these cards, because I just saw, you may not be able to see it, but there's a Gemini symbol right here, if you can see that. So I missed it on some of the other cards, but maybe let's see if we can find that on other cards. So Strength, very much what you'd expect to see with the Strength card. You've got a woman figure with a lion, taming the lions, taking great strength to do that. Very cool. Blue, a lot of blue color here. Let's see if there's any astrological symbol on this one. I can't quite see it. Maybe it's embedded somewhere else. Okay, so let's keep going. So the Hermit. Oh, this is kind of neat. So it's almost like, yeah, hard to say if it's like a bear or a dog like figure, but it definitely you can get a sense that it's the Hermit. It's got the lantern, almost like a hunched over, maybe robe of some kind, but the robe would be made of like flowers or something. Kind of interesting. And there's a skull at the bottom underneath it, like right here. So, you know, the Hermit is almost closer to death, being like an old person. So maybe, you know, that's a kind of a cool image embedded into that picture here. So there's the Wheel of Fortune. Oh, that's really cool. See that? And then there's some very clear astrological symbols in there as well. But a really cool picture. You've got, you know, this really connects to the Rider-Waite-Smith image of what the Wheel of Fortune looks like, as well as other decks. You're usually gonna see the Wheel of Fortune or whatever this gets named as some sort of wheel circle. So that's always going to be consistent. It's just in the way that it gets treated artistically. But this is very cool. Very, you know, it's got a dominating blue color in here. Yeah, this is pretty awesome. And then Justice, very much what you'd expect with Justice. You've got a human figure, looks female. It's hard to really say, but in a lot of Justice cards, you have a female figure dispensing justice with a sword and scales. So you've got pretty much everything in here that helps you identify with that archetypal image. So that's very cool. And then you've got a purple color, the Hanged Man. So wow, this is okay. So the Hanged Man. It's like a blue tiger being hanged upside down. That's very, very unusual to see that animal even in that position. It's usually a human being hanged upside down to almost sacrifice themselves in a way. But yeah, you can build other stories off that, and there's lots more meaning to it. But it's a blue tiger, so I wonder what that means. I have to maybe do some research into that. But that's kind of interesting. It's a very stark departure from what you know as the Hanged Man. So here's Depth. This is pretty cool. This is probably the coolest card I've seen out of all the major arcana here so far. This is very interesting. Sorry, I want to look at it more than I'll let you to. Sorry, haha. Death. Yeah, this is cool. Okay, there you go. I'll let you see it. So it's like a skull. It's like a skull collage almost, with like really Interesting patterns on the skull face. Because the Death card is a really cool card. It's not, you know, as scary as you think it is. You know, it really means like rebirth, the beginning of something new. Something has to die for something to be born. I think that's a really good style of imagery to do that. So, Temperance. Here we go. So there's Temperance. Looks like a female figure. It's hard to say, but looks like it here. You've got the fire element right there on the chest. But there's no, they're not, the character here is not holding any vases or anything like that, so it's not quite aligning with what we would see as Temperance, but it's you sort of get the feeling that it's capturing that as well, that the hands in different positions like that, almost like a scale, very similar to maybe the scales of justice, but in a way it's sort of going towards temperance. Yeah, very, very cool. Very, I like the colors. That's like a pink color. And then we've got the devil. Yeah, this is a cool. So yeah, so far my favorite cards are probably the devil and death. This is very neat. It's got, you know, your a pentagram pointing downwards with like the skull of a, looks like a goat. Yeah, and you've got the man and woman tied together. Yeah, the devil is cool. You know, again, not as scary as you think it may be. To me, it means more like the representation of our, you know, the challenges of the human condition. You know, being human, being on this earth. You know, the temptations of what it means to be alive. Almost a reminder to, you know, connect. Like, look around yourself. Really, you know, look at your whole life and see where the deficiencies are and what makes sense. But yeah, it can mean a lot of other things too. And the Tower. There we go. Yeah, I think maybe probably the most negative cards in the deck, or at least what people think are the most negative, are the most interesting here in this deck, the Tower. So very easy to recognize here. It's a tower being struck by lightning and people falling out of it. So there you go. I like the imagery in this. Almost like a greenish brown color. So far we've seen a lot of blues, a lot of purples and pinks, but we haven't seen like a greenish color here until this, so I like that. The star, that's kind of interesting. So the star maybe more connects to the what we would see in the Rider-Waite-Smith, the almost like a nude female pouring water into another body of water of some kind. So that's kind of cool. And then there's like a stork or some sort of bird. It's hard to say. I'm not a bird expert, so some bird hanging on the shoulder. So that's kind of neat. Maybe symbolizing the connection with water, possibly. And then we've got the moon. Yeah, this is kind of cool. So it's got like two obelisks. Then you've got like the two dogs. And a crayfish to really connect with the old style symbolism that are found in, you know, the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot decks and other tarot decks that borrow that imagery. Yeah, very cool. So that would be familiar, very easy to read. And the sun, wow, that's very cool. So the sun is almost like a bouquet of flowers, very vibrant. Even though it's flowers, it's not like a sun picture. You connect with the idea of the sun because the plants need the sun. You know, flowers and the sun are almost hand in hand. That's where they get their energy. So this is really cool. Yeah, it's like almost a strange type of flower. Hard to say what it is, but very, very artistic. Very creative. And there now we've got Judgment. This is a pretty interesting depiction of judgment. It's almost like the person who is doing the dispensing the judging is wearing a mask, almost to protect them who they are, and they're holding some flowers, almost like they can cast judgment, but they're almost they're nice about it. You know, they're benevolent in a way. They have kindness. Judgment. Judgment. I think there's a letter missing in that. I don't know if that's intentional or not. The World, here we go. Very interesting. So there's some more astrological symbols, and again you've got a sort of, you know, female figure in this almost like a portal of some kind into the world, or maybe the universe or something like that. Pretty cool. Again, a lot of blue. I think blue is a dominating color in this deck from what I can feel, which is interesting. Almost very emotional with water. So let's just mix up these cards. Let's just do a quick reading and see what I can do with these cards. I'm not the best tarot reader, you know, I'm okay, so we'll see how my skills hold up here live. After about 30 minutes of talking about the cards, I'll see if I can deliver something here. You know, I'll keep my intention really simple. Just how do I deliver a good reading on camera like this? So, you know, I want to keep it simple like that and just leave it open. What kind of spread could we do? We'll do something real simple with maybe 5 cards. I'll draw a card into the center here like this, and then I'll draw another card here, put one here like this. Make sure it all fits on camera. Move those off camera. There you go, that fits. So I'll reveal the card in the middle here. I'll just make it upright. So the Magician, how cool is that? So maybe this sort of depicts what's happening right now. So I'm sort of like a magician, putting things together, discovering new things, maybe tapping into the elements. That's kind of cool. So what do we have? The Empress. Okay, interesting. So it's almost like a jump from the Magician to the Empress without the High Priestess. So it's almost like there's a sense of growth happening in this section. Let's see what's above. I want to reveal this, or at least my intuition says reveal this, but I want to reveal this card to see what's above it. Justice is above the Magician. Oh, that's kind of cool. So almost like the actions of what I'm doing right now has some sense of justice to it, or something along those lines. That's kind of interesting. Strength. So I have strength here beside the Magician. So what I'm doing is coming from a place of strength. That's very interesting. Or skill, maybe. I don't know. Below the Magician, we have the World. Wow. Okay. Maybe in a way, you know, justice is appearing because I'm almost judging the deck. You know, I'm doing almost like a deck review in a way. It's really an unboxing. I'm not sure what you really want to call it. I'm just basically getting the deck and just telling you what I think and what I see. You know, without any sort of filters or barriers. It's just, this is what I'm seeing, and I'm reporting it. So I think maybe that's how the Justice cards fits into this, is that I'm sort of weighing things subconsciously, or, you know, I'm just doing it automatically, and there's some strength to that. But I think the Empress card is kind of nice because maybe it's kind of letting me know that I'm connected to like a higher source of energy, possibly. And then the World, I think, connects maybe to the Empress here in that way. Or maybe there's just like this almost cup-like structure, because strength also is sort of a like an unearthly type of power, like something beyond the human ability. Strength has to come from maybe, you know, above us. But you can take a different stance. You can also say that strength is a humanistic trait, but maybe I think in just this, how this reading is working, you've got a lot of the energy beyond the human condition. The Magician itself is sort of focusing into the Magician at this time. So I think we've gotten a pretty cool little reading here, really kind of depicting, I guess, what this video is all about. You know, the Magician kind of toiling and unpacking and discovering, you know, these cards in a way that weighs them a bit, in a way like Justice would judge something, but there's a lot of heavenly type of energies happening that are supporting this act, which is really cool. That's this is neat. This is a fairly positive reading, I feel. And I think that's really where we're going to end up. There's not much more to the packaging we can talk about. We've pretty much covered all the cards and what they look like through the major arcana. Again, no numbering here, so I think that's as I've used the cards here just in this short time, I feel like the absence of numbers removes the positioning of these cards. Like Justice would be 8 or 11 usually. The Magician would be number 1. You don't get that you don't get the sense that they're locked in a position. They just are, and they appear when they appear in the spread that you use them, or how you would use the cards. So I think that's an interesting side effect of not numbering the cards, is they kind of exist as themselves. They're not in a position. So it'll be neat to see how this feels over time, because a lot of the decks I have are numbered. They're structured in that way. So this would be one of the first decks that I guess I have that doesn't have that numbering system to it. So we'll see how that works. I think the only sense of numbering is really through the minor arcana, the pip cards, but they are not. There's no physical number. It's the word. You know, the word 7, SEVEN, 10, that sort of thing. It's the word of the number, and that's kind of a cool thing too. So there we go. That is it here for the video. Again, you know, use the links in the description below to gain access to more tarot articles, learn more about tarot, as well as there'll be some resource links here for you as well to get access to that. So thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you out there.